Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. We are today is Sunday, and my name is Mr. Oh, let me get myself in the camera view here. My name is Mr. Hand, and today is a magnificent day because it is really an opportunity to I don't know, get into the complexities of life, really. The complexities of what it means to be human, the human condition, which simply means that we are having to learn to accept that our lives are very limited, you know? And one of the primary concessions that most people come to is that there is nothing. There is nothing more to life. As much as we do certain things and have certain amazing advanced technologies and very smart people coming up with these very huge engineering projects and things, there really is absolutely nothing more to life but pounding some booty. I'm surprised by that. I didn't know that for the longest time. But yeah, that's it. You come into this world, you watch cartoons and silly things, and your childhood is a time of very, free, unrestrained, you know, just emotional awesomeness. And then you pop out a dick and you start to think to yourself, boy, that girl looks tasty right there, you know? And you're supposed to start fucking. It's a natural thing to the human species. You know, uh, nothing wrong with it. It's there. It's awesome. It's all good. You know what I mean? If there's one thing that's undeniably just pure all good in every sense of whatever can be considered all good, it's pounding ass. There's nothing wrong with it. It's like the ultimate, I think, you know, pretty much the last word in the sentence, on what is good in this world. And it's like if you give people an option, let me think, do something or pound some ass, people will pick pound some ass, you know? Um so that's what I just wanted to tell you. That it is what it is, this thing called titties and ass and titties. And some girls have more titties and less than. The thing about life, though, is that you come to this conclusion that there's nothing more to pound but to pound some ass, which I got no problem with. Hmm. I want to fuck too. You know. But then you got people out there saying, "Oh, go to fucking Harvard and go to fucking Stanford and Penn State instead of pounding some ass." You know, and there's a lot of complexity to that, I guess. The funny thing about it though is like, so like I'm watching the Kathy Lee and Hoda show for like one day, and one of the things they say on there, this guy comes on, he's like, males aren't coming along in life as fast as females. Males are being neglected by society. We're becoming more female-oriented society, and of course Hoda and Kathy Lee were just kind of snickering at him and saying, "Ha ha ha, we don't care." You know, I was like, "Oh my God, that's not cool." But at the same time, I realized that I don't have anything to do with that world. This is like it. There really is a very big separation between I mean, most of us were raised from childhood to not think about the differences between blacks and whites, but and Asians and so on. But there is a difference that no one can deny. There is something there that no one can say no. There is no difference between blacks and whites. When you think about it, you go and you finish your childhood years and you start thinking about who you want to mate with, who you're going to start a family with. Are you going to go after a black person? Is that your primary objective? Mind you, I see some people go down that road, but no. The majority of the world has no intention of turning black. And that's where you really get the unique quality of being black from. It's that you don't actually have shit in this world. You know what I mean? White people can stand above everybody else and say that they have all the marbles. Black people cannot. And mind you, we've come a long way. We live in a more modern society. We look at the intellectual type of shit first before we look at anything other as an attribute. But it's still a very aesthetically oriented society. We want beautiful people doing things more than we want just smart people doing things. Having a good look to you is more important than being, excellent and all that shit. I'm not trying to, it is what it is. You will have a lot of, it's going to be tough to say it's a race thing versus, oh, these people who are in leadership positions are just the best at what they do. That's the thing that a lot of white people have a problem with is that, okay, they work hard in school, they get to where they are, and then they get blamed for not trying hard enough, that because they're white they got there. You know what I mean? That's the thing that is going on a lot. And of course, I've met some white people who are like seriously just like, okay, I'm gonna prove to you that I'm super smart. You know, I'm not. I'm never saying that. I'm not saying you're not smart at all. You do have it easier than me, but at the same time, I'm not stupid. I know that there's like very smart people of all races. It's not a white only situation. I met very, very smart white people in school. That's one of the things that was going on there was that you go to school, and then there's this kid in the class, this white kid who's just killing it. He's just doing the homework better than everybody else, and that's what they do there, I suppose. Try to say, okay, our kids are just good. You know what I mean? But I never made the point that the white kids were never good. I never said that. I never would say that either. You know, doesn't make sense to me to say that. Why in the fuck would I think poorly of white people? What the fuck? I think highly of them. I like white people more than I like blacks. I've been beat up by black kids and they talk shit to me all the time, and it's like I never met a white person that was just straight up stupid and looking for trouble, so I don't I'd rather hang with them, honestly. um yeah, man, you hang out with black people long enough, you're gonna be like, yeah, they deserve what they get kind of attitude. It's sad to say, I've met mad cool black people, you know what I mean, but when you grow up with them and they all fucking acting stupid and shit, you tend to think to yourself, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if black people get what they get. You know what I mean? Because there's there's no amount of like reasons to think highly of blacks when you grow up with them. Mind you, there's so much efforts that have been made to make black people look mad cool, The 90s was a time when there was a lot of black involvement on television. We had all that, which were majority. We had a lot of black actors on it, which was huge, really. When you think about it, I watch the sketch shows they have now, and there's like one black person on the show and like five white kids, and it's just like, what happened? That's kind of weird. And I watch, you know, I come from an age where there's like shitloads of black people doing stuff on TV. Then all we got is fucking Meet the Browns. How did that get past the censorships or whoever is quality controlling the TV nowadays? How can you name a show Meet the Browns and it's an all black cast? Doesn't that just scream we are racist sons of fucks? I mean, really, what the fuck is going on? How come we had a wonderful show like Family Matters, Cosby, and Fresh Prince, and now we live in a world where there's Meet the Browns? These people are brown, by the way, so the show is called Meet the Browns. Ha ha ha! Clever, 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 clever. You know, not clever. It's stupid. It just makes no sense. Oy. The world has changed vastly, I must say. I mean, it's kind of very, how do you put it? Just disappointing, really. You grow up seeing, I gotta say, man, I didn't know what I had. I could come home on Friday nights and watch Family Matters and watch uh, all the good TGIF shows and shit, and it was magnificent. These were different times. Now I go and say what you want, but I don't know what happened. Everything's gone. Everything that was once cool and intelligent and classy seems to have just gone. It's gone now. Even Jaleel White isn't who he used to be. You know what I mean? That motherfucker was really going places. He was really looking like he was gonna become a huge superstar, and for whatever reasons under the sun, he just kind of petered off. And now he's doing web videos or some bullshit. That's not cool, man. I know that because he's played Urkel for years, he can pretty much never get out from under Urkel's shadow. That's the real problem there, you know? It's like everywhere, any acting job he gets, even the fucking Judy Moody movie, everybody thinks he's playing Urkel in that movie, you know? Wearing glasses. And it's remarkable to me to see that he still looks like Urkel. He's 30 something now, obviously older, but that motherfucker kept in shape, son. So his body, it's like it's still lean and kind of looks like Urkel still. And that was really fun for me. I had to sit through this bullshit Judy Moody movie that sucked. It was stupid. I've seen way better shit back in the day. My time, son. We got from the 90s. The 90s was no fucking faggy bullshit movies. We made movies with some balls. You know what I mean? Today's movies are for pussy shitheads. You know what I mean? Little women. Um, so I'm watching this Judy Moody bullshit. I'm thinking, fuck this shit. I want to watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or some shit like that. Watch that movie versus Judy Moody. Watch any 90s kids movie. Ernest and shit like that. Just see the amount of balls in those movies where they just had shit happen that was weird, fucked up. Pee Wee Herman, Big Adventure. That's what I'm talking about. That's my kind of movie. I grew up on those kind of movies where there was just stupid, weird shit going on and it made no fucking sense, but that was cool. And it was just okay. It was okay. So like I said, Jaleel White still looks like Urkel to this goddamn day, and that I grew up watching Jaleel White from when he was a little kid to when he was like on the edge of not playing Urkel anymore. Yet they squeezed out one more season of him as Urkel just to say, okay, let's finish it off. And of course, he was obviously ready to fucking get shredded like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so there's no way he could play Arnold Urkel no more. But it kind of made me feel like, okay, I'm watching the Judy Moody movie, and I'm seeing Jaleel White playing that motherfucker, whatever his name is, Todd. I'm thinking to myself, this could be the precursor to like the actual, Family Matters reunion movie or something like that. I know we live in a very cynical world now, and it's very much full of excessive amounts of pornography and raunchiness, which I don't have a problem with. I think that this is just a natural thing to me. It's like, you know, these girls taking off their clothes on consistent basis is doing what comes natural, nothing more, nothing less. Moving on. They want to get pregnant, they want to have children. There's nothing wrong with that. Women are supposed to have children. That pussy hole is not just supposed to sit there doing nothing. It's supposed to get filled up, fucked. That's what it's for. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all good. We live in a world now where we've convinced an entire generation of kids that you can choose not to have children and instead pursue a fucking career, but that's just not right. No matter how you slice it, that shit just not gonna fly. I don't know who's making decisions in this world about people just fucking going out there and getting a job instead of pounding some ass. But that's never gonna happen. You can tell people all day, don't pound ass, go get a job instead, go work on a career. People are gonna pound ass. So you're just not gonna convince nobody of that shit. Uh, so I'm just saying that if I would hope that one day soon, before Jaleel White turns way too old for it, they do indeed do a Family Matters reunion movie, like the fucking goddamn Growing Pains has two reunion movies, and that show sucked. How the hell did that happen? Whenever Growing Pains came on, I tried to watch it. I honestly didn't. I couldn't handle that show. It was just like there's too much bullshit. I didn't understand that show at all. What the fuck? I know that the charm of the actor Kirk Cameron was really the main thing about the show. Everything else sucked. But yeah, I enjoyed him. He was a cool dude. I took from him somewhere. I kind of like. I like to emulate Kirk Cameron back then. Honestly, thought that Kirk Cameron was the voice of Aladdin because his voice sounds exactly like Aladdin's. And no, it's the guy from Full House. So yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise. Um, so so fucking, I think since they've made fucking two piece of shit reunion movies for the Growing Pains thing, I can't imagine why they made reunion movies for Growing Pains. But whatever. Fucking Full House was on for fucking however long that was. I I would take a reunion of that too, if they can get away with it. That show was, how do you put it? That show was huge to me. You know, I really, I don't know. It was just a good show. I liked it a lot. You know, it was like the anti Family Matters. It was, if, funnily enough, Urkel guest starred on the show, but Full House was actually a lot more serious than Family Matters. Family Matters was a circus. It had its serious moments, but it was the show back in the 90s that really encapsulated the idea of what it meant to be a kid during the 90s. You were just, random jokes, shit flying all over the place. It was a badass show. That's what being a kid in the 90s was all about. You got badass stuff to watch, badass things going on TV. Now life is a little gayer and feminine and shitty. And that's kind of lame to me. That's disappointing the fuck out of me. I grew up in a time where life was a lot more scruffy and you'd have to take your licks, man. You know what I mean? Now we live in a more feminized era, and it's just disappointing. I know women are very intellectual, and they're gonna sit there and talk your head off all night. That's the problem. We didn't do that back in my time. We didn't talk for shit. Nobody talked to nobody about nothing. You just fucking got shit done. Now we talk, talk, talk. Women have this concept that they're not gonna die one day. They can sit there and talk to you and debate with you for like a couple of years or something. I've met fucking females like that. They will sit there and try to talk your head off all day. What the fuck? I'm not gonna live forever, man. I'm gonna be dead someday. I wanna fucking hell if I can, I can fuck to the day I die. God damn. You wanna talk. I wanna pound some ass. You know? Sorry for having a dick. You know? uh Sorry for having a freaking cock, man. Sorry. Shit just do what it do. Um But the Family Matters would be the best reunion episode if they could do. I don't know. I mean, no skin off nothing. You know, when you really watch Family Matters, it's a kind of bad show because it's really corporatized. It's really network. You know, it's like the cast and everyone just pretty much went along with the script where it was written. They had fun. You could tell the actors were having a great time making the show, but they really had no power over the show. One minute there was a daughter character. She asked for more money. She's gone. The show moves on without her. She's never mentioned again at all. Entire episodes that had that character mentioned and she was involved. Now you buy the show on DVD. Imagine the kids today saying, "Let's watch the whole Family Matters fucking series." Dad, mom, and they all sit down and watch it. They're gonna watch the first season. They're gonna watch second season, third season. By the fourth season, one character disappears, and the show is just like whatever about it. You think you say, what the fuck? That's not even the only thing. That happened a lot, on that show. Where it was just like they changed shit, they did things differently, and apparently they just think we're stupid enough to go along with it. Honestly, I never really noticed Judy missing. I never cared about her character. But now that I look back on it, the serious lack of the serious absolute lack of respect for the audience. They simply remove a character just like that and say to the audience, "Fuck you. We don't care what you think. We're just gonna move on." That's really sucks. I don't think even Full House would do something like that. Every character that was on that show from the start and every new character introduced, everything it made sense and it was in and they just okay throw away a character here and there. But that was the 90s. Like I said, during the 90s, there was no protesting. There was a lot more, grab your balls and get it done attitude. It was a very manly era. I really miss it. I don't miss going to school. 'cause school sucked. But I miss the attitude back then of toughness and shows like Power Rangers, Masked Rider, all the SWAT cat stuff, fucking Toonami. What the fuck is going on these days? Fucking Saturday morning used to be the shit, and now Saturday morning is bullshit. What the fuck? What the fuck? I don't know. I can't watch shit on Saturday morning. I see kids outside my house right now, yo. I don't know if they have nothing to do on Saturday mornings. They mad chilling, they having a fun time. And I'm glad to see them having a good time. They just having their childhood and shit. But they don't got shit to watch on Saturday morning. Why the fuck we have beast mode badass cartoons coming on Saturday morning and a maniacs and stuff? Spielberg's still fucking alive. That's one good thing. I don't know how old the dude is, probably 60 something or 70 something. I think he's that old yet. But the fact that he came up with the idea of making these cartoons that were reminiscent of the Looney Tunes era, oh my god, genius. And of course I grew up on that stuff. I was like, that's really like my forte, I could say. I can do the voices of the Looney Tune characters pretty well, and and of course I grew up watching this shit, so of course you know shit like Space Jam, that was a trip. I didn't know something like that would come out back then. Apparently, it was based on some commercials they made featuring Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes, and so they decided to make a full feature film on that subject. And as a kid, it was just like a damn trip. It's a trippy thing, but I grew up watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I thought it was based on that. I thought, okay, they just making a movie in the same vein as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, nothing more, nothing less. No, it's based on some commercials or something. Yeah. So we in a homo period now. What can I say on homosexuality? Honestly, I have a hang up over it because that's what people back in my day, you would get your ass kicked all day if you even fucking hinted that you were a homo in my time. So to have it be like, okay, everybody loves gay people now, it's kind of a trip for me. It's like, whoa, did I just go through fucking time warp, end up in another dimension where homos are awesome and everybody hetero is not? I look at a beautiful big titty girl and I'm thinking it's a very good thing that I want to suck at her titties and lick her pussy and put my dick in her fucking ass and shit like that. I think it's a good thing. What the fuck's wrong with that? But you got people who say, oh, it's not a good thing. Yeah, fuck you. But I don't know what to think. I think about it sometimes. What it'd be like to actually ram a bitch hard, and then she gets pregnant and fucking gives birth to a kid and shit like that. I think about it sometimes. Like what would it be like? It's here. I got balls full of semen right now. Right the fuck now. I got a balls full of semen, and I'm thinking about what the fuck would that mean? What the hell would that mean if I actually went down the road of being a parent and shit? I don't, I don't know. I always told myself back in the day, no, most people are going to go down the road of fucking and parenting, which is not wrong, but it will limit your life. You will have to actually be in a position to care about your child and things like that. You know what I mean? Got to take responsibility for that whole thing, and maybe it'll turn you into a man. Maybe it'll make you into a responsible adult, and that's the whole point of that. But uh, I can't if I want to do the things I want to do artistically, scientifically, and intellectually, I cannot go down that road. And I don't think it's anybody's business what I want to do. I got a lot of people, for some odd reason under the goddamn sun, who are concerned with whether I'm going to pound the booty one day? How come I come from a time and place where nobody gave a shit if I was ever gonna get laid? I went to a whole 4 years of high school and nobody cared if I got pussy. And now you're gonna come out of the woodwork and say, oh, it's time to fuck a bitch. Yeah, you damn straight it's been time to fuck a bitch. I've been trying to do that for a while now, son. Uh, they got the big titties, they got the nice face, they got the beautiful, beautiful body and everything. A lot of young 20-something girls out there, some bitches still in the high school years and shit, that are not concerned with, they're very, very fucking open to getting fucked. You know what I mean? They're not really worried about, it is what it is these days. A lot of people are really confused about what to do with their sexuality because they've never been taught that. This society doesn't teach that. We are more concerned with figuring out how a Hubble telescope is able to detect the wobble of a star. We can write an entire technical manual on that. But god damn it if we give a damn about people generally just growing and maturing and becoming sexually active. Oh, to hell with that. I mean, god damn, I can go online right now and pull up an entire Harvard education course on quantum mechanics. But when it comes to fucking, the best you can find is like, you know, nothing. You can't find anything. There is no college education course on fucking. They will study the human emotion. That's another thing. They're concerned with the human emotion. That's the thing I've noticed throughout my life is that they will give you a big technical manual to study as a kid on how fucking mitochondria works, because that's important. But when it comes to what process goes on that creates new human beings, oh, let's not educate people on that. I don't know if it's a black thing. Maybe they give white kids adequate education. I would imagine they would. You don't want the next generation of very powerful, wealthy white people not having the good stuff. You know what I mean? Really good stuff. They want to be like the black kids. Who cares if they learn shit? But the white kids, that's very important that they get the good stuff. Like I said, it is what it is. I don't make nothing of it. I've enjoyed my life. I gotta say that. There have been moments where things got rough, real rough, stupid, in fact. But I got to watch movies like Hook. I got to watch the Power Rangers movie. I got to see Pee Wee Herman. I got a lot of cool things that I enjoyed. And of course, the multitude of great cartoons that have come out over the years, you know, and Dragon Ball. It's just a shame that we're declining now. That all these great animated cartoons and stuff that we came from, classics even, they really should put them back on here. I mean, every last one of them. Put them back on the big classic cartoon channel. You know, to hell with it. This next generation of kids should be educated in the old stuff, in my opinion. Why in the hell are we trying to hide them or degrade the level of quality that we once came from, in my opinion? It don't make no sense. So it is interesting. I mean, I don't really like hang up on getting laid too much because it's not something was gonna happen, and I don't really lose my mind over it. When you don't have something, when you don't have it in front of you, you know what I mean? You don't dwell on it. It's simply not there. I'm more concerned with getting my piano lessons done. I'm struggling with the piano. It is what it is, but Let me tell you, I used to suck at typing, you know, and now I can do it without even thinking. It's easy. So I think it's the same with the piano. You just gotta keep at it. The one thing you gotta do is that. Keep at it. It's gonna get to the point where you're like, I don't wanna do this shit no more, and I suck at it. And the only thing you gotta tell yourself is get back up and put one more fucking try. And then one day you're gonna think, why was I ever bad at this shit? You know what I mean? That's my opinion. Um, I got a couple artistic projects I'm looking into, thinking about. I mean, I sit here and I take it into consideration anyway. I want to finish the Ronda series. I have the blueprint. I have the whole thing planned out. It is going to be a massive endeavor. You know, one would say, why not get a real hot chick girlfriend with big titties instead of drawing hot chick big titty girls? Well, Rhonda's extremely important to me. You know what I mean? She's not just a piece of ass porn star. Although I enjoy porn a lot, the Rhonda character is like an old friend. You know, when you create a world, a universe, I can imagine you don't really feel like it's just a toy to play with. It actually means something to you, and that's one thing that I always say to myself is that despite how much trouble I'm going through in life and whatever what the hell happens, I always have my dreams. I always have that vision of this universe that I can go back and play in, no matter what. And it is true. I envision the universe that I came up with, this place, this time, this character, and she's more important to me than any of these girls out in the world. I meet girls and stuff sometimes, but they're not like who I created in my head. So they don't really they're not the same to me. The thing about Rhonda is that she is 100% really, a cool girl. It's funny to meet females, man, because you will have girls that are like total bitches, girls that are semi bitches, and you wonder why in the fucking hell are all women like this? Why in the fucking hell are they all just like, I'm a total fucking bitch, and I'm gonna completely confirm every stereotype about women being bitches. You know, they won't stop, they won't back up. They'll be a complete bitch to you, and you're like, oh, good God, Uh, But Ron is different. I envisioned a female who was like, just a really normal person to a degree, I suppose. She's not a bitch. She's very cheerful. She's very happy. She's very kind of ditzy and stupid. But that's the point. Is like she's my ideal in a sense. A girl who's very much not trying to fart in your face and shit on you and kick your ass. That's my idea. She's just really like a mad, chill, cool, relaxed kind of bitch. And that's the juxtaposition too. Whenever I create other female characters in the series, they're the exact opposite. While Rhonda is really happy and cheerful and loves life, all these other girls are like they want to fucking just kick everybody's ass or some shit like that. That's the thing. That's the difference there. I wish I could fucking meet that. You know what I mean? A girl who's like that. But you won't meet that. No girls today are cool. They are all pretty much all about trying to start shit for no reason. And it sucks. It just sucks. You think to yourself, where are the cool chicks, man? Where are the really relaxed, mad, nice girls out there? No, 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 no. You're gonna meet mad bitches in this world, man. They're all about trying to start shit. You're like, okay, we're two people, we're two human beings. I got a dick, you got big titties and a pussy. Let's make the most out of the situation. But no, you're not gonna get to that point. Instead, you're gonna have a girl trying to start shit because she's bored, because she wants to prove something to somebody somewhere who doesn't care, and so on and so forth. That's the thing you gotta learn about life is that we have a lot of complex political things going on, but ultimately nobody cares about anybody else. Nobody. Even though somebody may be pretending to give a shit about proving their political stance, no one gives a shit about anybody else. Imagine it, a black neighborhood, it has a fire or something, black people are in distress. A white neighborhood also has some sort of disturbance. Which neighborhood is going to get the assistance from the government first? The white neighborhood. Every single time. We don't live in that world that makes any fucking sense and is following any kind of actual, established rules and shit. White people come first. Always. And that's the difference. And that's why I'm trying to say, I'm asking the question of why in the blue hell are white people to some extent wanting to turn black? I used to work with a guy, he's a white guy, and he is like, he loves black girls, period. No other kind of girls, and I'm sure the black girls will love him. That's strange business, but that's who he is. And then of course, I've met and seen interracial coupling going on a vast amount of places. It is what it is. You're gonna have issues though. It's gonna open up a whole ball of wax. I don't know why you'd go down that road. You know why? You will have so much compli complications arise from uh, intermingling with blacks than if you were to just stay with what you are, or even hang out with the Asians or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's inevitable when you get down to it. It's like okay, you put a bunch of human beings together in any capacity, and they have access to each other. Yeah, you're going to have the normal whites getting white situation, but then there's going to be a white person that you know doesn't want to be with their own race, and then they just abandon their whiteness and they go down the black road. And is it wrong? It's not wrong. It's fine, but you will, you know, the life of that kid's gonna be a lot more complicated. You know what I mean? Shitload more complicated. You're gonna have so much more issues arise. Being white, you may not notice it. A lot of white people probably grew up completely oblivious to being white. They just thought they were a person and shit. But when you finally get out into the world and you see the way that it is, whose genetics are the most valuable is the question. And of course, look at the history books. Nobody's saying, oh my god, look at all these black people accomplishing shit. No. Everything about history is about white people, Asians, and Hispanics going around doing amazing things. And like there's like one black guy come somewhere who invented something or did something or whatever. And it's sort of a reality that you have to accept more or less. It's just like it's not easy to accept it, but it is something you have to accept that you don't get to to have your cake and eat it too when you're black. You just don't. You just don't. Although, one of the great concessions of life is that you can build these freaking empires, you can build these pyramids, and then you're just gonna die and leave it behind for the kids, and you have no idea if those kids are going to follow through on your expectations. I think that's kind of what's going on now. This generation of white people is a lot less, it's a lot looser and a lot less crazy and and devilish as the original generation. And whether that's going to come back to bite them, I don't know as of yet. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that their leniency and their openness to allowing other races to have things and prosper is going to benefit everybody, not just be a real big mistake they've made. You know, I hope that it just opens the door, more or less, to people who would never have had the opportunity to achieve certain things. But now the door is wide open and they can go and accomplish all kinds of shit. That's the American dream, right? You know? And I think in this generation, let's just say it, I'm gonna be honest. The white people rule the world. Very super smart, tough white people get together and decide who gets what in this world. You know, every single generation. There will never be a generation where it's the blacks on top, Asians or the Hispanic. It will be very smart, very powerful white people coming together and saying, what do we want? What kind of world do we want to create and craft and engineer? And apparently they're not too bad these days. You know what I mean? They're more like they still rule the world, they still have all the power, they still decide life and death, but they're not, you know, as fucking like straight up rah 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 in your face about their attitude. I would say they're more laid back, because that was the attitude during the '90s. If you grew up back then, fucking it sucks, man, to realize that you grew up during a time that like kids today don't have no more. They ain't growing up during the time you grew up in, the stuff that you enjoyed. So what the fuck you seeing? What you're gonna see is like me personally. I grew up during a time where The Simpsons was on, and The Simpsons was about the white lifestyle during the '90s. You know, that show was really like a reflection, a mirror of life for white people back then, where they were more or less middle of the road. They're not trying to, or even Roseanne or something like that. That's really the example I'm trying to say is like just average, ordinary white people having a comedic, funny existence. When you watch something like The Simpsons or Roseanne, you see that's how they lived back then. That's how everybody lived. Everybody. I was living like that, where you would just pretty much sit in the back watching cartoons or something like that. That's what life in the '90s was all about. It wasn't about we're gonna try to do something epic and change the world. It was just about living your little suburban lifestyle and trying to put up Christmas lights, and that's why white people lived back then. You know, nowadays it's like it's hard to put it's hard to figure out how white people are handling the world nowadays. I honestly don't know. The Simpsons is still on. It's still the same fucking shit. Homer and Marge and the kids at home, but it's it's not reflecting anything anymore. Not the way you know that life has changed. It's changed dramatically, in my opinion, because we're living in a more faster world now with the internet and butt sex and all these things that you had to read books back in the day when Simpsons was on. Man, you had to go to church. You notice in the early Simpsons episode there was a lot of church stuff because that's how life was done back in the '90s. Everybody went to church. Everybody. As a kid, that was one of the things you dreaded. How, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking sit for hours in church. And that's one of the things that Simpsons always made fun of. How the kids were just like, oh fuck this, I don't want to go to church, you know. And that's what was funny about it. You get to see that the Simpsons reflected your life. You know, nowadays, who goes to church no more? Very few people. And The Simpsons, I don't think they have any church episodes anymore because that's not the reality we live in anymore. And it's on its way out. The show is about to die. You know, it's an old, creaky shell of its former self, and it's like the critic, or something like that. Now it's like you used to watch The Simpsons. For me personally, I used to be like, The Simpsons is the bomb. And I'd be watching The Simpsons, and a fucking critic would come on, and I just be like, this is stupid. This show sucks. You know, what the fuck? Why did they spend money on this? So now it's like The Simpsons is the critic or King of the Hill or something. You know, King of the Hill was a show where there's like not much going on in it. Some episodes were interesting, other episodes were just something to watch while you're bored. And that's pretty much The Simpsons is now. Only show that fucking brings the funny is Family Guy. To some extent, American Dad. American Dad's just not that interesting. It's just random bullshit. You know what I mean? They need to like. I don't know what the fuck they gotta do with that show. I don't know what the hell they're trying to do with that show. It's just kind of lame, yo. But yeah, Simpsons used to be the shit. I know y'all. I know a lot of kids are like growing up now, and I don't know what they think of the Simpsons now. I don't know if they care about what it used to be. But I witnessed the original awesome episodes of the Simpsons where they put every fucking last ditch effort possible into creating a comedy classic, and you could tell that there was so much effort made, and so much love and passion put into it, and now all that shit's gone. It's like, what the fuck? I find it difficult to watch the show now. Just, it's, it's just bland. It's just ordinary, and I think even the actors know that the show sucks, and they're just not giving it their all anymore. It's just it's like a watching a old. It's the saddest thing ever. It's like watching your parents grow old and die. But that's the reality you gotta live with. Your parents that you grew up with, who were there for you or something. One day they'll be feeble, old, and one day, not alive anymore. You know what I mean? I've seen death. What can I say about it? It is it's peaceful, in my opinion. I've I've watched a hamster die. I've watched a little kitten die. Ultimately, my cat died. Uh, Death is no pain. Death is peace. Death is peace. It's not something to hate on. I think it's just it's peace. You know, you go and you have your life where you got all kinds of trouble, and you gotta go through this, you gotta go through that, you gotta do a lot of work, and then dying is a time when you are ultimately free. You are free from the complexities of life. You are no longer having to wrangle through the difficulties of living, and you're finally free. I think it's the perfect answer to the concept. What is the concept of freedom? Freedom is death. You know, we live in a strange world now where people have no concept of having to die one day. We have this idea, this crazy idea that if you put your videos online, if you put your titties out online, there won't be any comeuppance. It's gonna last forever. But it's a sad thing to see so many people acting a fool, to me anyway. Because these people are all. This is how you're gonna be remembered after you die, kind of thing. You're not gonna be remembered for doing anything more than taking out your titties and jiggle jangling them in the middle on all over the place. That's about it. You know, you're gonna go to your goddamn grave not having accomplished shit, but taking out your titties and showing them to the world. You know, but that's the thing that I think was the most successful thing about the 90s and childhood is that the concept of having to die one day and what that's going to mean was never really explained to you. It was never taught to you. You never really got it. No one ever told you you're going to die one day, ever. You know, you think to yourself, I'm going to accomplish this, I'm going to run around, I'm going to do all kinds of cool stuff. But no one ever said the words, you're going to die. And the only thing that you can do in life is do something that's going to reflect well on you. No one said that ever. You know, it's a sad reality I think that you have to learn to accept that there are people thinking about ways there are people out there thinking about ways that are going to impact your life and how you're going to be remembered before you die, you know, and that's a real kicker. Is like, what is it that life's going to mean in the end for you? You don't really think about that. I never really thought about that, and I don't think about it now. It doesn't bother me that much. Perhaps because I'm only 27. I don't really think about, oh, I'm gonna die. What am I gonna do to leave behind an actual good impact on the world before that point? You know, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about one day just getting some ass. But even that, you know, has been made into a bad thing for me. You know, and I honestly didn't see that coming. I always thought, oh, you know, that's not a bad thing, getting a girlfriend. But apparently that's a bad thing, you know, because of the potential problems that can arise from it. You know, if you want to stick it to somebody, I guess, you know, make having a kid one day a bad thing. You know, if you really want to stick it to somebody, that's real good. That's real clever. If you really want to stick it to somebody, make it out to be a bad thing to have some kids. You know what I mean? Uh, but you're sticking it to the wrong dude because I'm black. I don't have all these fucking girls all around me waiting to get fucked. I don't even. I've never even conceived of that as a possibility. I just never even cared about doing that. You know, I am not here in this life to get all into the way and be an impediment to white people and their operations and their interests. You know, I've never thought of that. I've enjoyed all the things white people have come up with and created. I would never stand in the way of white people doing stuff. You know, that's the thing they're worried about. They're like, oh my God, you know, here we are, we're white people, we have this wonderful, wonderful lifestyle and good stuff, and yet we have to share it with these happy-headed African people, and that's just not something I will ever step toes on because I've been, I grew up, you know, enjoying the to some degree, you know, whatever amount of white lifestyle spilled off into my childhood. I've enjoyed it. I like watching the white people's movies, white people's TV shows. Hell, I even read reviews online and shit of white people who watch and enjoyed 90s black films, you know, so there is an understanding, you know, in my opinion, that it's not about uh it's not about race as much as it's about having a good time, you know. And if you enjoyed, you know, if the thing I think I believe in is that there is no limit to art. Art transcends race. It really is the ultimate in something that will transcend people's racial hangups because good art will always reach its audience, in my opinion. And that's what happened. You know, white people love black movies back in the day when they were kids because the movies were badass and cool. That's all that mattered to a kid. When you're a kid, you don't think about this is a black movie. I have nothing to do with me. No, you think this movie's cool. Like me personally, I love movies where there was like race was like not even fucking a factor in the movie. That's one of the main points of things during the '90s was that there was no real concept. They tried to make movies and shows and stuff that were about people like Superman, who was an alien or something like that. When you're watching a show about aliens and Star Trek and stuff like that, Star Wars specifically, the genius of Star Wars is that yes, it's primarily starring and it's about the whole story is about white people and their saga and their problems, but it could be about anybody. It just happens to be about white people. The fucking whole universe is filled with a fucking huge variety and diversity of humanoid aliens. Just because, but ultimately it just happens to be a story about white people. The thing about it is that there's never any like hint made that this story that the race of the characters matter. That's one of the fucking actual progressive and interesting things about Star Wars is that despite it all, despite it being a thing about white people, when you're watching the movie, you get the sense that okay, this white guy's talking to an alien puppet, and it's just a normal conversation, because that's who they are. That's what they do. They don't look at aliens as aliens. Everybody's an alien. White people are aliens. Black people are aliens. That's what that was like the truth of life for me as a kid. I never really understood it till now, but when you really think about society in the future, everybody will just be pretty much universally um able to get 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 things done and get along because I'm not saying that there is no master race and all that stuff, but there's so many races and different kinds of people that it will be like it won't matter to be particularly white, particularly black, so on. That's one of the things Star Wars was saying without having to say it. You know what I mean? That all it had white people as the stars of it and all that, but it was just about so many complex different types of people that you never saw that before. I grew up watching okay, yeah, it's another okay white guy superhero show or movie taking on the world, but and typically the movie would be all about white people. Like it's funny to be a black kid growing up watching movies and stuff full of white people doing white people things, and you're just a black kid watching it, and you're like, huh, yeah, okay. But then you see something like Star Wars or Star Trek, and it's interesting to me to see just this fucking collection of variety of aliens and humans coming together and just doing stuff and getting along and they're becoming a unit, military unit based on their primary objective alone. They're not concerned with race. That was monumental, and it still is monumental. You know, people, you know, can the future can work if we want it to. We can have a future where everybody is just living their lives and doing whatever they want to do, having adventures, and they're not really thinking about whose race is who and what. That's one of the great hopeful messages of Star Wars is that you go and you see the rebel pilots. One of them some weird looking Chinese dude. with the flappy face. One of the guys in the admiral chair is a big fish dude, and you're thinking, this is what society could be, you know, where you have no concept of racial ex- expectations for life. You just like, okay, whoever qualified gets the job, period, kind of thing. That was one of the great things about Star Wars, is that it like gave you that idea. It gave it, well, I didn't have it before, but I knew it after I saw that movie. Because honest to God, you go to one of the great things about '90s was that there was an attempt made to include black people in a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows. You know, they're not doing it no more. They fucking gave up on that shit. But that's what was going on. You watch something like Jumanji, you got David Allen Greer up in that motherfucker. You know, '90s was like black, black all over the fucking place in that motherfucker. It was crazy. This is an exciting time. Now we don't have that. You watch shit. It's funny to see movies nowadays, and they made the way they are, but it's still okay. There's a white guy. It's funny. You can really much cut and paste every movie they make nowadays. It's gonna be about a white teenager who's going to high school or some shit, and then something epic happens and he has to save the world. That's pretty much prototype. The great thing about a movie like Independence Day is, honest to God, and one of the monumental things about it was that it really encapsulated the '90s. And Men in Black too. Is that okay? They made a movie about alien invasion, and typically it would have been like, just okay, it's gonna be like that movie, uh, War of the Worlds, where they're just gonna have a bunch of aliens come in, and then a bunch of white people are gonna figure out how to defeat the aliens. Oh, Independence Day to me, people look down on Independence Day. I hate reading ain'titcool.com, because honestly, guys, it's a bunch of spoiled rich white kids sitting there talking about how they hate this movie or some shit like that. But as a black motherfucker, you don't really have these high expectations. White people, they have extremely high expectations and shit, because they rich. They got money, they got power, they have high expectations. So they like, oh my god, I don't like this movie, it sucked, and all that. Black people don't think like that. They think, damn, this is pretty good. So when I was watching Independence Day, I was just blown away by it. And one of the main things that blew me away, of course, was that it starred primarily Will fucking Smith. You know, this was his breakout role as a movie star, and I never really thought about it because it didn't register to me. I grew up in a time period where I felt really much pretty much unhated by society. I was pretty cool with everybody, but that's because I was a cute little kid. Now it's over. Um, and the fucking cool thing about it was that Will Smith was the protagonist. He was the hero of the whole movie, and you don't really see that. Typically it's this cookie cutter white guy jumps in an aircraft, flies around, Star Warsy, finishes the movie, saves the day. No, in this movie, it's Will Smith, a black dude. It's one of the most progressive things ever. Finally, they kind of just say, here's an actual black military personnel. And my father was in the military, and it all kind of gelled with me, as a kid. It was like, here's just something ordinary, a black guy in the military kicking ass, for America. It makes sense, and it worked for me. It was like, oh, this is cool. I've never seen this before. A black guy being the hero in a movie. And say what you want, but Independence Day was ahead of its fucking time, because we don't have that. no more. There are no movies where there's a black guy taking care of business and being a hero. You will get your fucking thousandth movie about a white guy. Look at Pacific Rim. I would have been very impressed if Pacific Rim was about a black guy who has to go and find a way to get back into his that would have been really impressive. Instead, it's the thousandth movie made about some white guy with the drama or something, and then I don't hate white people and shit, but that stuff is like it doesn't fucking work. You can't make a movie about white people having so much fucking angst and shit because it's just not true. Unless they're seriously fucked up, they do not have angst. They do not have the world on their fucking back. They do not have all these fucking problems. They do indeed enjoy a very free lifestyle. So why in the fuck are they whining and bitching and shit in every movie that I ever see about stuff? It kind of gets on it kind of pisses me off, as a black person. Here I am having to sit and watch another white guy say, oh, woe is me. But that's what Pacific Rim is. It's a white guy saying, oh, woe is me. And, and one of the parts of the movie that is actually funny. The white guy goes whining and bitching to a big black guy, and the black guy just like, why the fuck did you just touch me? That's what's funny about that. They actually have it in the movie. They have an actual black guy in the movie telling the white dude, you don't even know what problems is. But then the movie keeps on pushing the point. This white dude's got so much problems. you know. So I didn't like that part of the movie, honestly. It just rings so false. It's just not true. You know, mind you, I ain't saying white people don't struggle in this world too, but they don't fucking struggle as much as blacks. You know, on in just the way that it is. You know, I know that it's just the way that it is. There are things that are just the way that it is. Women give birth, men work. Things are just the way that it is. And of course, white people are capable of getting to places and doing things that black people can never hope for. It's just the way that it is. So to sit there and for 2 hours straight have to sit and watch the thousandth movie about white people with problems, it kind of just is like, don't need this right now. Yeah. So, but that's the thing about Independence Day. They subverted that. They went somewhere else with it. And that's why Godzilla failed, in my opinion. They made a big expensive disaster movie about a white guy whining and complaining about things for 2 hours, and that's again, here we go again with that. It's like wow, roll my eyes. Uh, but when you watch Independence Day, you got a black guy. He's a cool black guy too. That's one of Will Smith's best performances because it's like he is actually playing, you know, a human being in the 90s, a black guy in the 90s who's bad chilled. He doesn't let the world bother him or nothing, does his job good, things like that. So if Hollywood really wants to make some kind of like change to things, that's the thing they don't want to do though. That's the thing people are complaining about. That even when you make a movie based on Asian culture and Asian characters, they're all white. How does that make sense? Um, that didn't bother me because the characters in Avatar: Last Airbender looked white. So just it's okay. So then, if they were obviously Asian and they decided to turn them white, it would have looked suspicious. But anyway, I'm saying that okay, we get movie upon movie upon movie these days where they're pretty much following the old school template of Star Wars or something, where they have a little white teenager going up against immense odds in the world or whatever sci-fi setting they're in, and that's just gonna be extremely um lame to see again and again and again because there's an entire race of people in this world who are sitting around in life rolling their eyes at that. Oh my God, I have to sit for 2 hours and watch this white dude saying he can't get pussy or some shit like that. You know, it's kind of lame. You know what I mean? I look back on the old movies that I used to watch, and it's striking, really. You know, you watch as much as I love Back to the Future. You know, what if Michael J. Fox was black? I think to myself, what kind of message would that send? You know, you can say all day, "Oh my God, George McFly is such a loser," but he's still white. He still has all the privileges white people have. If he was black, then that movie would fucking take on a whole different meaning. You know what I mean? That's the thing about it. That's the thing I have to think to myself now. Of course, white culture, white society, they look at George McFly as a complete loser. He's lame. He's not assertive. He's not getting things done. He's shy, and he's meek and he's weak. But he's white. You don't get it. From my perspective, he's a decent person. Why in the hell would you look down on him? You know, the movie was directed by and written by two white guys, and to them it made sense. Oh, let's say, okay, woe is this dude. He's such a loser because he's not, going around kicking ass and being assertive. But imagine if he was black. Whole movie would be a whole different movie. You know what I mean? You can't say, okay, black people aren't assertive enough or nothing. When you're black, you just have to accept things. You know what I mean? You can't just. There is no assertiveness. You're not going to get anywhere with it. You will get some places where you're not going to get very far. White people not being ruthless, take no prisoner kind of people is something that they probably most likely are all about because that's their lifestyle. You know what I mean? They have all the marbles in this world. Are they gonna actually benefit from it and utilize it, or they're not? You know what I mean? Black people have no marbles. Although there's effort being made these days to say black people have marbles too, it's not true. The only marbles they're gonna have is honestly God when people want to turn black all day, every day. You know what I mean? But it's not true. Nobody wants to turn black. Nobody. So there is no marvel. People want to turn white, white, and white some more. You know, they want to turn bright as a fucking marshmallow. You know what I mean? So it's hard to watch Back to the Future now with that in mind. Here I am sitting here as a black person watching a movie about white people complaining about not having it all, not having all the marbles. When if this movie was about black people, it would reflect that we don't have nothing. We're not gonna get nothing. We might as well just make the most of what we got, kind of stuff. And that's one of the things I like about Independence Day as a kid. Here I am watching a movie about a reality that I live in. You know, Will Smith's an actual human being. He's not that smart. He's not that great at anything, but he's got charm. He's got gumption. He's got balls, and he represents, what it means to be a '90s black kid. You know what I mean? You just gotta be cool, laid back. Don't try to be no fucking epic nigga or nothing. That's the thing I always say is like we got this whole idea nowadays that you gotta be an epic nigga. You gotta go change the world. You gotta be the next Martin Luther King of stand up, say something deep, meaningful. No, you know, is it so wrong to be a complete regular fucking person, not no extraordinary nothing? Is it so wrong? What's wrong with that? You know, everybody's. Why in the hell black people gotta fucking be epic and shit? Going out there trying to fucking do all kinds of shit and shit. You know, if you super smart, do super smart things by all means. But this whole concept of okay, this black person has to fucking do all kinds of epic shit is just ridiculous. I'm just gonna. I'm waiting on a lot of things right now. I didn't quite get through at ASIG, but inevitably, I'm hoping that I get the job at Best Buy or I can get a job working cargo at JFK or something like that. And then we'll spring for hopefully the thing I wanted to do was make the overtime money at ASIG. But right now, I'm just gonna concentrate on making enough so that I can get to work and just do my job and hopefully not have to pay too much for insurance and things like that. So we're working on things as they are.